Hi guys, so today we're talking about soap making. Yes, so in soap making, it involves two basic things, which is your oil plus lye. Oil and lye. And the reaction between these two is called saponification. This is what the reaction is called. Okay, now this oil can be any oil. It can be your palm oil, it can be olive oil, it can be coconut oil, tallow, any oil, even the ground oil you cook with, you can still make soap with it. Any oil of your choice, animal fat oil, any oil at all can be used to make soap. Okay, now this line is simply caustic soda plus water. When you dissolve caustic soda in water, it is called lye solution. So let me like the oil say. This oil can be palm oil, coconut oil, tallow oil, vegetable oil, any oil at all. Now this caustic soda, when you add it into water, please always add the caustic soda into water, not water into your caustic soda. When you add this caustic soda into water, it's going to get hot. Like the reaction is going to be so hot that if the bowl you use to dissolve your caustic soda is not strong enough, it will melt it. So always use a strong bowl, not aluminium, please. Aluminium will react with caustic soda, okay? Don't ever use aluminium, okay? Now, when you mix these two together, it's going to be so hot, and this atomic reaction will take place, and you see the smoke coming out from the water. Please handle with care. Make sure you're wearing your gloves and your nose mask, okay? When you add your caustic soda into your water, that's what you call lye solution. Now, when you combine these two together, the caustic soda and the water, it is called lye solution. Because many people have asked, what is lye? What is some people even call it I'll just laugh. LYE, lye solution. That's what we call the combination of caustic soda and water. Now we have another type of caustic lye solution, which is the potassium hydroxide. When you add potassium hydroxide into water, it is also called lye solution. And it will react the same way. The only difference between potassium hydroxide and the sodium hydroxide, which is the caustic soda, is that caustic soda is used to make a hard bar soap. A hard bar soap. Something like this. This soap was made with caustic soda. Okay? Soap was made with caustic soda. But you see potassium hydroxide is used to make a soft bar soap, like your black soap, your Moroccan soap. All those soap that are like paste. That's what we make from potassium hydroxide. So that's the difference. Caustic makes a hard bar soap, while potassium hydroxide makes a soft paste-like soap. Or the liquid soap, we use potassium hydroxide to make liquid bathing soap. Okay, so that's the two types of lye we have. So when you combine these two together, the reaction will start thickening up, which is called the saponification process. Now we have the thick trace, we have the light trace. First of all, the light trace, we have the medium, and we have the thick trace. So this is the right time to pour your soap into your mold, the medium trace. The light trace, where as if you are turning your palm, Now before you need, it's as if when you now add hot water to your palm, it will start getting thick. That's the medium consistency. So if you focus for your palm, now as it go be, don't let your soap get to that extent, which is the thick trace. Some soap, you need your soap to get to that extent before you pour it inside your mold, depending on what you want to achieve with the soap. But as a beginner, please always pour your soap once you achieve a medium trace. Okay, when it looks like a pap-like consistency, that's when you pour your soap into your mold. Now anytime you pour your soap into your mold, please tap your mold, tap it to remove air bubbles, so your soap don't have air pockets and holes when you bring it out. Okay, now once you do that, you spray rubbing alcohol, which is the IPA, on top to remove air bubbles, so that soap ash will not form on your soap. All these I'm saying are very bad. Some little things you might take for granted, and at the end of the day you end up with a bad soap. If you take all these things seriously, your soap is going to come out fine. First of all, tap your mold and spray alcohol on top of your soap to remove air bubbles. Okay, these are the two things you need to do once you pour your soap into your mold. Now take note that I said that all you need to make a basic bar soap is your oil and lye solution. Now this doesn't mean that you cannot add other things. For profit purposes, we add fillers. We add fillers like your calcium, your sulfate, soda ash, and the rest. Now we add silicate to make your soap shine. Silicate is also a hardener to help your soap to harden. For these powders, this calcium, sulfate, soda ash, they are also used to boost the quantity of your soap. Okay, These things are optional and it is called additive. Any other thing you're adding into this oil and lime is called an additive. Be it your perfume, your fragrance, your color. Perfume is fragrance anyway. Be it this calcium, anything else you're adding that is not oil and it's not lime is called an additive, and they are quite optional, and there must be a reason why you decide to add them. Sulfate is a filler, calcium is a filler, and they help to boost the quantity of your soap so you make profit. If you only make soap with oil and lime, you might not end up with a big output. But once you add the fillers like your calcium and sulfate as well, it's going to boost the soap to increase in size. Okay, so these things are called additives and they are quite optional. All you need to make a basic bar soap is called, I keep repeating this, oil and lime. Oil and lime. Now we have three different methods of making soap. We have the hot process, we have the semi-hot process, and we have the cold process. So for beginners, we always start with cold process. What cold process means is that this your lye solution, you dissolve it and allow it to cool down for in just the longer, as in the time you kept your liquid soap to cool down does not matter, as long as it is as cool, it is cooled down at room temperature. Okay, as long as it is cool, whether 12 hours, 16 hours, 24 hours, 3 days, 4 days, as long as it's cool down, that is when you call it a cold process soup. Okay, your lye solution is cold. Lye solution is cold. Now this hot process, you must learn cold process before you progress to hot process. Hot process, your lye solution might be cold, it might be hot. At the end of the day, you cook this soup on heat. You cook soup on heat as if you're cooking your food. You can either do a double boiling method. A double boiling method is when you boil water, then you place your bowl into the boiling water, so the heat from the boiling water will cook your soup. Depending on the quantity of the soup, if you're making a small quantity of soup, please I encourage you to use a double boiling method. But if you're making a large quantity of soup, please use a bowl, a big bowl, maybe a stainless pot, and cook your soup directly with low heat. Low heat, your soup is not supposed to boil during hot process. Now in soup hot process, your lye solution must be hot. It must be hot. You're not cooking the soap, but your lye solution, once you dissolve it and it is clear, you can use it while it is still hot. You cover the soap to cook by itself. The soap will generate heat and cook by itself. That is called semi-hot process. I hope this is clear. So most of you think that when you dissolve your caustic soda and allow it to cool down, you keep it for 3 days, 2 days, the soap, the caustic soda is going to ferment. That way it will not be harsh on the hands. That's not true. Caustic soda is a form of salt, and salt does not ferment. Just take, for example, ocean contains salt. All this big ocean, they have salt. If salt they ferment, and they don't ferment since, right? You can only ferment sugar. You can only ferment sugar into alcohol, but not salt. Salt will never ferment. So the reason you are dissolving your caustic soda and allowing it to cool down is just for it to bring down the temperature so that you can use it for your cold process soup or your hot process soup. Okay, that's the only reason. It doesn't matter. You can use it after 12 hours, you can use it after 16 hours, you can use it after 24 hours. The length you allow it to cool down does not matter as long as it's at room temperature. Now, the reason why your soap is harsh on your hands is because it did not cure properly. Okay, a soap is supposed to cure at least 4 to 6 weeks. That's when your soap will be ready. By that time, there will be no lye again. Everything must have saponified. No lye again on that soap. Okay, that's why your soap is hard, because you make it today and use it tomorrow. Allow your soap to harden it to cure properly. As the soap is curing, it's losing water, it's losing lye. Like your soap will get better. The more your soap stays, the better it becomes. Okay, the more your soap stays, the better it becomes. Allow your soap to stay at least 4 to 6 weeks before you start using it. For me, but without hot process, cold process, I just allow them. I just make them and allow them, keep them to cure properly. Once the soap cure properly, if you use it, it's not going to be harsh. Whether you use the lye immediately or whether you allow it is not. So the reason why you allow your caustic soda to cool that is not because you want it to ferment, so that it will not be harsh on the hands. Please, that is a very, very wrong misconception. Okay, I hope you learned something. You're allowing your caustic soda to cool down because you want to bring down the temperature.